Yeah.
So it's prophecy of the new temple. It was made actually by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And about the TOVP, the Temple of the Vedic Planetarium, or the Adbhuta Mandir. Adbhut Mandir Hoipi Prakash Gauranga Nitya Seva Hoipi Prakash. That from this temple in Mayapur, astonishing temple will appear, and it will Gauranga Nitya Seva Hoipi Prakash. From that temple, Gauranga's eternal service will spread. So it's Prabhupada's very dearest project to complete, and it has a great potency there to change the face of the world by giving this this alternative. Now we're suffering so much, we have no alternative. But here's a transcendental alternative, the chanting of Hare Krishna, that will go to every town and village of the world. So Lord Nityananda received it from Lord Chaitanya, and he said, by the Lord's desire, by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's desire, an astonishing temple will rise in Mayapur. And yeah, from that temple, service to Gauranga will spread all over the world. So it's recorded in the Navadip Mahaprabhu of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur that Nityananda Prabhu is taking Jiva on Parikram, and they come to Mayapur, and he explains how this is the border of the Dham. Then he explains how everything will become manifest again here in Mayapur. Temples will be built, people will come back and live as before, they will all worship deities, the holy name will always be heard. With many temples and one astonishing temple. That's all prediction Mahaprabhu gave to Nityananda, and Nityananda Prabhu revealed it to Jiva Goswami. And then it was revealed by Nityananda Prabhu and Jananivas Devi to Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. They are the gurus of Bhaktivinoda Thakur. After every chapter of the Navadip Mahaprabhu, Bhaktivinoda Thakur says that they have ordered me to write this. They are my gurus. Every chapter he ends saying how he is their guru. He is their guru. They are his guru. And they ordered him to write this, and glorification of, although it was 400 years ago since after Nitai had left, but still he's claiming that they have still ordered me to write this glorification of Navadip Dham. So then he was revealed through Jiva Goswami and Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. It was revealed by Nityananda and Jananivas. And also Jayadeva Goswami was living here in Sridham Mayapur at Dalal Digi, we know it's Prithu Kund, or else Prithu came here when he was leveling the earth. And King Lakshman Sen, who was the son of Balal Sen, he was living here at that time. He was the king of this area. And Jayadeva Goswami, the great poet, he was serving as a court pundit. He was one of the pundits in Mayapur. And he wrote something about how a city also, a transcendental city, this is like couple of hundred years before the appearance of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So Jayadeva Goswami wrote that there will be a city, transcendental city built here. And the wonderful temple, and the predominating deities of this temple will be known as Sri Sri Radha Madhava. So this was even before Mahaprabhu's time. was predicted. So Prabhupada established that prophecy. He established Radha Madhava as the central deities of the Mayapur project, and he's revealing the TOVP. It's a good Monday that Nityananda Prabhu and Mahaprabhu spoken of. So that is some of the history that goes back to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Jaya Devi Goswami, and then there is the whole Parampara. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Shri Prabhupada Mayapur ki jai. Thank you.
Well, we can see that all those predictions, they're actually coming true. But you know, Doctor was praying, when will the Russians, Americans, etc., Europeans come to Mayapur at the job bit and raise their hands and chant Hari Bol along with their Jai Sachidananda with their Bengali brothers. So, by Prabhupada's influence, then that we see that happening for the last 40 years. And the predictions like there will be many ghats springing up again. Now you see the new ghats coming up on the Ganges. There will be many residential dwellings, and they will be worshipping the deities in those houses. You will hear the holy name wherever you go. Like that, you wander around. People, you hear kirtans coming from all different houses. So this is we actually see in these predictions as we go. And actually at that time, over 100 years ago, when Bhaktivinoda Thakur made those statements, it was unthinkable. At that particular time in history, the Gaudiya Vaishnavas didn't have a very good reputation at all due to the Asampradayas and due to the British influence and how the intellectuals in Bengal, which was the capital at that time, were Kotal the British, and the Ram Mohan Roy made this Brahmos, which is a kitchery of Hinduism and Christianity. And it was cool to be, like British, brown Brit. So at that time, then they were the foreigners and had brainwashed some of the intellectual Indians, young Indians, and trained them up under their system. Because they knew they couldn't manage India by themselves, they had to be managed by the Indians. But the Indians had to be anglicized. So that was their program. But unfortunately, the same people they became educated, they actually turned around. But at that particular time, it was unthinkable. Especially the Gaudiya Vaishnavas, all these Asampradayas, they had a very bad reputation because they were quite degraded and on track. So it took, the great devotees and to see how they just treated the Gaudiya Vaishnavas. It's going up and down, from it goes from this Narottam and Jananivas, etc. And then down with it, and it picked up again. Vishwanath, then down and back in Thakur, picked up. It went down a bit, and Bhaktisiddhanta picked it up and made a solid impression in India, 64 months. And then Prabhupada took it all over the world. So this is the Nam Sankirtan, this is the Yugadharma. And Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur says all the different sampradayas or religions of the world, they will gather under the banner of the holy name, chanting the name of the Lord. in this particular time will be Hare Krishna. So, although you may think this is exaggeration, a little unbelievable, but why would the Lord come himself, personally come, Krishna, personally come, then all his associates personally come, his friends, the gopis, the manjaris, coming as the Goswamis. They're given us a procedure by the sadhana bhakti how to attain that our original constitution, original consciousness of loving Krishna. So we want to be convinced that this is the most bona fide process in Kali Yuga, and it's the only viable process actually in Kali Yuga. If you want to go back to Krishna, go look with that, and you have to go through Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Jataka, and you have to go through the six Goswamis. And so this is our great heritage. We'll be following. Mahaprabhu is coming to give the highest, he's coming to give love of Krishna, service to Krishna, and that was revealed primarily by chanting the holy names. So that the nature of the Dham, as we explained yesterday, Nrsingadev was right. Somebody didn't want to make Lord Nrsingadev because he was too angry. But he said if he's worshipped in Mayapur, it'll be okay because all the deities in the Dham that take on the same mood as the presiding deity of the Dham, which is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And his mood is very magnanimous, very merciful, so it will be okay. So that's the mood here: magnanimity, generosity, and everything in the Dham is of that same nature. I mean, the apricot Dham, that is. We may see something else, maybe see the actual real nature of the Dham. It's actually unknown, but it's called Adharya Dham, the merciful Dham. Everything wants you to wants everyone to have love of Krishna, because that's Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mood. So everyone takes on, everyone and everything has the same mood. So that's why it's emphasized that we preach, Sankirtan, we preach the holy names to people, because that is what Mahaprabhu wants. He wants everyone to experience that original consciousness of love of Krishna. He's come to taste it himself, which he couldn't do as Krishna in Vrindavan, so he's come as a devotee of Krishna. Srimati Radharani, he's tasted that, he's intoxicated. He said everyone should have this, it's just too good to miss. So in that intoxicated state, he's not considered who is fit or who is unfit. So actually in Kali Yuga you won't find many fit candidates. But so we're all mercy cases. And he's in that condition. That's why he's such a special esoteric incarnation. And that's why the Mayapur Dham is such a special place. Very difficult to offenses are easily nullified in the Holy Dham, not considered so much. So it's now the Vrindavan is the lotus of Vrindavan is gradually closing. The Jamuna will eventually dry up if there's any left nowadays. Of course, during the pandemic, the Jamuna has become green and clean again, but how long that will last, I don't know. But actually, we heard there was actually no water from the Jamuna in that river some years ago. It was all sightened up, and all the water was coming from agricultural overflow and streams and stuff. But now it's clear because there's no factories and industries that closed down for them. But we know.
We need to unmute. Prabhu, if you have the mic next to you, if you can use it, because the fan is making noise.
We don't have a mic.
Oh, okay. Your earphone?
Turn up.
Yeah.
I don't know how reliable my earphones are. I can try. Because I got a mic on the earphones. Hello? Can you hear?
Yes. Yes.
Is that better?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, so Jamuna will gradually disappear. Govardhan sinks 1 mustard seed every day. But Mayapur is actually, the lotus of Mayapur is expanding. So this is the place where we see all these predictions, like the lotus, are gradually unfolding and becoming a reality. More and more people are taking to the chanting the holy names, Hare Krishna.
My Poki Day. So we started the project, Mayapur project, in 1972. At that time, there was just nothing, just flat fields, and no one was coming to Mayapur at all because it didn't go anywhere. Just two rivers, and yeah. So Prabhupada came. He established the project of the Mayapur Chandra Doya Mandir, TOBP. And 1972, we had our first Guru Purnima festival here. And then the deities stayed here from that time on, which under Prabhupada's direction, they should stay here. They should not go back to Calcutta. Small Radha Madhava. So I remember when Prabhupada came here, he was like a little boy actually. He was, he jumped down the hole. He was about 10 feet deep. Little rickety old bamboo ladder. He was very nimble. He was like a little elf. Just so easy. Just looking down there, he was giving some direction. He decided to go down himself. A couple of little hops, and he was down in the bottom of the hole, laying the foundation stone, laying it on to it. And then Prabhupada stayed for some time. He lived with us in the Bhajan Kutir, because that was actually the only building that was around. And so there was no running water there. Prabhupada he had a hand pump to pump up water. And there was no toilet there, so we dug a hole in the ground and put some jute sticks around it. That was Prabhupada's toilet. And there's no electricity. And so Prabhupada, he was doing his translation work as usual. Prabhupada wasn't fazed about the situations and facilities. Here he was. He's coming from New York, Los Angeles, sophisticated cities. And he's in the middle of these rice fields. Nothing at all is happening. So he can't do his translation. He's on his dictaphone. He has a dictaphone. You speak into it, and then the devotees would translate later on whatever Prabhupada spoke in his purports. And so Prabhupada wasn't fazed. He still got up the same time in the middle of the night and had a mosquito net around his bed. And he had a typewriter with him, so he would just, with his 2 fingers, he would just type the Bhaktivedanta purport. And go on his morning walk as usual. Different directions. So he wasn't fazed by the lack of so-called facilities. He still carried on exactly the same schedule. And one of the things that annoyed Prabhupada was the mosquitoes. And there was millions and millions of mosquitoes. And So he was complaining actually about the mosquitoes. I put my hand out under the mosquito net to get some papers or something. Immediately the mosquitoes are attacking me. Very spiteful. And so we were burning cow dung patties, right? Cow dung patties. And to make smoke, we burn these inside the bhajan cookie. And Prabhupada, he didn't mind. He wasn't affected by it. We were all crying. Our eyes were coming because of the smoke. But Prabhupada didn't seem to be affected by it. And one day, Guru Das, I don't know if we were actually in my part. But anyway, Guru Das, Prabhu, he asked Prabhupada, he said, do they have any mosquitoes in Goloka Vrindavan? Prabhupada said, if they are, they're all chanting Hare Krishna. And another pet dislike, we can say, of Prabhupada was people who snore at night. And so when Prabhupada was coming, Bhavananda informed all the devotees, if anybody's snoring, you can't stay in the bhajan kutir, because Prabhupada interferes with Prabhupada's translation. So is anybody snoring? Everybody said, no, okay. So when then Prabhupada came, then of course in the middle of the night, Prabhupada calling Bhavananda, someone is snoring there. We were sleeping on the veranda all around the bhajan kutir. Prabhupada was inside. Someone is snoring outside. And then Bhavananda go outside, look at the devotees who are snoring, making sound, and he wake them up. And, okay, you got to go sleep under the trees. Lots of snakes around there. It's nighttime. Anyway, that was the sleep under the tree. The Prabhupada Ki Jai.
In the 1973, then the Lotus building was built. It wasn't finished, but I think at the end of 73 or beginning of 74, Prabhupada's room was finished, and the Didi room was finished. So then they moved in the rest of the building was a construction site. And so, and Srila Prabhupada apologized to all the devotees for any inconvenience. A lot of devotees got sick that year. The first Gopurnima festival, there was about 30 or 40 people came, mainly American. Then by this time, more people were coming, and in 74, the place was full. They had their pandal up. So Srila Prabhupada said, this building is not big enough. We have to have another building. So they said, where should we make it, Prabhupada? We just have one strip of road from the Bhaktisiddhanta road down to where the end of the Lotus building. That was just one strip we had. So he said, how? You make it on that north side of the property. How long should it be, Srila Prabhupada? He said, well, how long is the plan? It's a few hundred yards. He says, I'll make it that long. That would be the longest building in West Bengal at that time. We call it the longest. And Prabhupada would be there watching the construction. One day he called one of the managers. He said, you see that worker over there? He's leaning on the veranda. Yes, Prabhupada. I've been watching him. The lazy fellow. You go and fire him. He's very aware of so many things. And Sundays, Prabhupada used to give darshan every day, evening time. And either in his room or sometimes in the park. In the park opposite the Lotus building. He would sit there. And so that was very wonderful to be there and, with all the devotees sitting around Prabhupada, and different topics would come up. Depending on people bringing news of the preaching and Prabhupada telling stories, or I'm not saying anything. It was just so nice to be there in his presence. As when Prabhupada appeared, he had a very, very strong presence. He became the center, focus immediately. There was no denying. Everywhere in the world he went, it was like that. Even when he came to the airport, one of the workers in the airport before, said, never seen anything like this before. Crowds of people, they just separated like the Moses crossing the ocean or something. He made a statement like that, a biblical statement. So Prabhupada had that command. One day he came in his room, and he was quite in a grave mood. So Prabhupada sat down and he wasn't talking. He was looking around and it was a pin drop silence. So Prabhupada said, are there any questions? And nobody said anything. So then his voice was a little more concerned. Why there are no questions? It's even more silent. And nobody wanted to speak. He said, it is a duty of the spiritual master, of the disciple, to question the spiritual master. Why there are no questions? So then one of the devotees offered a question. It was the wrong question. It should have been one in the third canto. Queen Kunti says, is this right? Prabhupada said, you fool. You're saying it says it in the Srimad Bhagavatam, you're asking if that is right. He said, that is not the question to ask the spiritual master. Even more quiet. Everyone was really scared. So then Hirananda Maharaj asked the pertinent question. Then the ice broke. He got normal again and nice. Another time he was there giving darshan, then he got up to leave to go to the bathroom, I suppose. And he got to the door and he stopped and he came back. And on his desk there were some coins, paisa, aluminium coins. It has it in those days. It wasn't much. It was a small pile. It couldn't have been more than 2 rupees. So then he got his key for the drawer in the desk, which was on his, he kept on his Brahmin thread, and he opened the drawer and he put the paisa in there and he closed it and locked it, and then he went to the left. And everyone was in the room, nobody talked, but everyone was looking at each other. You know, these are Americans. They were, giving their life to Prabhupada. And here was a couple of rupees. And Prabhupada looked it up. But there was a kind of looking at everyone, what's going on? He's not trusting us, but we're giving our lives for him, 2 rupees. But then there was, nobody said anything, but there was an understanding there. At least I got it. Prabhupada was teaching us that Lakshmi should always be protected. And Prabhupada was very frugal like that, because he had nothing actually. Before he came to America, he had nothing. Right? He used to, when he got a letter, he would slit the envelope on 3 sides and open it up and use the inside of the envelope as writing notepaper. cut paper. And he would walk to the, he would carry paper to the printer on his head to save the rickshaw charge in New Delhi. When there was if there was a tap dripping, or was on a morning walk, he would call the manager. Why is that tap dripping? Or light was left on in the daytime, he would call the manager. Why is that light left on? The fan was running in the room. Prabhupada would listen. Yeah. And he would try the handle. The door was locked. So he called the manager. You see? You hear? Inside the fan is running. There's no one there. Demoniac. Demoniac. He said the devotees in the West, they're giving blood, you know, doing Sankirtan, distributing books, and they're sending it here. You're simply squandering. This is demoniac. So Prabhupada was very, very frugal and very, very conscious. As he walked around, if there was a window latch open, he would close it. Otherwise, you tear your quarter pocket on it, something like that. So he was, and he taught how to, when people came in the room, over their obeisance, the Prabhupada said, why didn't you close the door? He says, a simple thing. You come in, you turn the handle, you open the door, you come in, you turn around, close the door. It's a very simple thing. A little details like that, Prabhupada was very much aware of. When he came into the room, he would be looking, you could see looking everywhere and at everyone. So he's very kind of aware of what was going on. He was aware that there was a cobweb which was in the corner which had been missed by the cleaner. He would see all these little details. So he would train us even in the finest things, that, you know, everything actually belongs to Krishna, and everything is Krishna, so everything should be used properly and maintained properly. Prabhupada taught us a lot of little lessons like that, unspoken lessons. Jai Padaki Jai.
In Mayapur, they grow these date trees, kajur trees, because the dates don't fructify for some reason. But they use the tree for getting sap and making kajur ras, and then they cook it, boil it down until it goes thick and make it into gur. Or you can boil it down halfway and make it into like a molasses syrup. Very, very nice, very thick taste. But if you leave it till after the sun rises, it starts to ferment and becomes alcoholic. So Bhavananda, he was the president there at that time, but he didn't like the devotees. They were going and drinking this kajuras, date juice. So then Prabhupada came at the end of the year 1972, and so Bhavananda, he wanted to stop this. So when Prabhupada came in, immediately he told Srila Prabhupada, the devotees, they're taking this kajuras. It's a very strong intoxication, Srila Prabhupada. It's just like whiskey. And devotees are taking it, Prabhupada. Prabhupada is hearing, oh, yes, really, really. So next morning, everyone will go for a darshan in Prabhupada's place. So we went for a darshan. And one devotee, his name was Vijahari. Real tough guy. And he said, Prabhupada, sometimes me and the boys, we take a walk, that Japa walk down the road, and when they're making this, boiling this kajur juice, and we take this. Very nice, Prabhupada. Prabhupada was hearing, oh, really? So now he had a decision. Prabhupada had to make a decision. Satisfy the managers of satisfy the devotees. So anyway, the next morning we went in for darshan, And then Shrutikirti Prabhu bought a glass of rasa, kaju ras, liquid. And he gave Prabhupada, and Prabhupada looked at it. He's Bengali, he knows what it is. Everybody knows it. But anyway, he looked at it. Then he drank a little bit. It's quite nice. Quite nice. Shrutikirti, bring me another glass, empty glass. And he gave him a glass. And he Prabhupada poured his glass into the other glass. He said, now pass it around to all the devotees sitting here. Let them have a sip of the kaju. So Bhavananda was sitting there fuming. He didn't get his way. And then Prabhupada sanctioned that the devotees can drink. Hare Krishna, Sri Prabhupada ki jai.
Type, sure. Yeah, when the devotees snored, either. There was another thing that disturbed him. That was the slamming of the doors. Because one time he stayed quite a while, right after Gaur Purnima. There's a windy season, Vaishak, Kal Vaishak. These storms whip up, windstorms, very ferocious. They come on very quickly. They don't last long. Then, because it's hot, everyone sleeps with the doors and windows open. Then these storms would whip up at night, and boom, 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 the windows would clash and the door would slam. So that disturbed Prabhupada because he was doing his purports. And so that's why he would chastise you. Just when you open the door, if you want to leave the door open, you have put a wedge. The doors have a little wooden wedge on a hinge. You should push it in, and the windows have latches. Just do these simple things. He said, sometimes I'm writing these purports because Srila Prabhupada used to have several books. Jiva Goswami, Sridhar Swami, maybe Vishwanath Chakravarti's purports on the Srimad Bhagavatam, and he would read those and combine them into his Bhaktivedanta purports, which was just suitable for us at this particular time. But he said sometimes, he says, there's no, in Sanskrit, there's no English word that is equivalent. So he said, and I'm trying to think of the right word in English that will convey exactly that meaning, which is there in Sanskrit. He said, sometimes it takes me 3 days trying to think. He says, so I need that concentration. So when these doors slam, breaks my concentration. He said, it cracks my heart. He said, like heart cracking sounds. So just, if you're going to leave the doors open, then make sure that they're locked open. The windows also. Prabhupada ki jai. Because Prabhupada, he used to get up about 10ish at night. We'd sleep for a couple of hours, two or 2.5 hours. Then he would get up when the whole world was sleeping. Then he would begin his purports. So, and he said, I was praying to Krishna that I could give up sleep. He said, and Krishna, later on that was, I wish Krishna has answered my prayer. And I can live without sleeping. For our benefit. That's the kind of self-sacrifices that these great devotees make for us, for us conditioned souls, so that we can present Krishna consciousness in a form that is very acceptable in today's atmosphere. Prabhupada ki jai.
When Prabhupada was coming, must be 1973, for Gaur Purnima festival. And the devotees have put a big banner on the outside, on the road outside, big banner. And it said, "Welcome, Srila Prabhupada." And then Prabhupada, when he was driving in and then he saw that poster, and he said, "Oh, my godbrothers, they will like this." And they liked it. So they all came to see Prabhupada's godbrothers, just 6 or 7 or 8 sannyasis came to see Prabhupada, a very demanding mood. And they gathered around Prabhupada and they said, "We want to know why you are using the title Prabhupada. Why you're taking the title of your spiritual master." So they were talking back with forwards, it's getting a bit heated. And the devotees, they're completely astonished. They'd never seen anything like this before. The Prabhupada, he was our God, he was everything. And now we see this. His godbrothers are talking to him very boldly and threatening and demanding. And Brahmananda Prabhu, he was there, he was like being. And Drupadi was being insulted. Brahmananda, he wanted to jump up and tear him all apart. Never heard this kind of speaking to Prabhupada. The Prabhupada noticed that his disciples were getting upset. So he said, "All of you go outside." Sent everyone outside. And we were looking at it. It was made of bamboo, split bamboo, the wall, so you could see through. You could hear it and see through the walls. And so they were arguing back and forth a little bit. And then Prabhupada said, and he says that you bring my stationery pad. So he bought his stationery pad, and Prabhupada had on the heading, letterhead, he said, "A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami." He said, "Look, this is what I'm using. I'm not using Prabhupada. But the disciples, it's actually the duty of the disciple to give the highest respect to the spiritual master. Prabhupada, Vishnupad, these are high, very high esteemed names. And disciples should be the best of his spiritual master. So myself, I'm not using." So yes, is it? Oh, okay. So Haribol, friendship. So yes, the Prabhupada is so expert in everything, in solving his problems. Prabhupada ki jai.
The deities were one side of the building. Not Mandir, there was the diary room. Jananivas and I were sleeping there. It was jolly. One wall was jolly. And but there was no. We took a bath outside. They had a tap just to take a bath under the tap. So I would take bath and hang my gamcha and coping over a fence. There was a wire fence there. And then at 11 o'clock in the morning, so I'd go touch it back in when it was dry. We're gonna dog. Because Prabhupada used to go to an early morning walk, so but I used to leave it out there till so every day I was using that gamcha, but Prabhupada used to go out once a day to walk. Then one of the devotees quickly rushed over and pulled it off the fence. I never claimed that gum shirt because I thought I'm going to get into trouble. By the time Prabhupada was walking, later on, then we built the boundary wall was built, and they had a bathroom there. They built that big kitchen where they used to do prasad distribution, and devotees used to take prasad also. And there was a bathroom, a round bathroom. And Prabhupada was taking his morning walk, and he walked past that bathroom. He said, "There's a bad smell here." And he turned to the sannyasis, "Why are you not objecting?" He said, "Sannyasi means every time you come into the mode of ignorance, you object." So he chastised him because the bathroom is smelling. This is your duty. It's your job to point out these things. So Prabhupada, he used to call all the, when there was a problem, he would say, "Manager." Then they would call, "Who is it?" "Jayapataka Maharaj." The next day, "Call him, who is it?" "Jayapataka Maharaj." He says, "Why is Jayapataka Maharaj? Well, he's the only one who's managing here." He's doing everything. Because Bhavananda used to be the personnel manager. Jayapataka Maharaj used to manage all the construction, the horticulture gardens, and the laborers and the mistries, and there was always a bunch of people waiting for him because he could speak Bengali. But at one time, I think Prabhupada's rooms had to go some renovation or something happened. So then he would he would temporarily stay in another room. So on the roof of the Lotus building, there was two rooms. Bhavananda stayed in one and Jayapataka Maharaj stayed in the other. So I said, "Which room?" He would say, Prabhupada. I said, "Let's see." So he goes in Jayapataka Maharaj's room. There's all almirahs crammed with, books on horticulture and growing peanuts. Or he got a prize for growing peanuts. and cow maintenance and construction and all that stuff. He said, "Let's see Bhavananda's room. There was nothing there. One desk, one pencil, one pad." And Prabhupada said, "I can see who's doing all the work." He said, "I'll take this room." Bhavananda Maharaj had a different title of service. Haribol.
Sitting in Prabhupada's room, Satsri Maharaj. And Prabhupada we were sitting in the Prabhupada's room, his desk, mattresses. And Prabhupada was chanting. He was walking from his bedroom, he walked to the other room, his desk room. He would walk back slowly, he was chanting. And we were sitting on the floor by his desk. And so Prabhupada coming backwards, forwards, chanting very deeply, very grave atmosphere. And then he walking towards us, and then he stopped. And he looked at us and he said, he's chanting Hare Krishna. It's the sound incarnate of the Absolute. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. And then he started walking very, very great. Sound incarnation of the Absolute. Realizing. Of course, he realizes Krishna. There's all the different aspects of Krishna. I remember that I used to take the frankincense around to Prabhupada's room every night. I'd take to the deities. There's frankincense in a big pot. Put charcoals in there and burn it. And we used to break these frankincense to powder so it burns more, you get more smoke and everything. And we always thought that this was for to get rid of the mosquitoes. Prabhupada said one night, it's about 3 o'clock in the morning, 2:30 or 3. Well, the manager said, there's a mosquitoes here inside my net. Can you get rid of them? And Prabhupada called me and he said, Prabhupada wants to get these mosquitoes out. Can you make that window, that frankincense? I said, how long will it take us? He said, 1 minute. Put a little bit of kerosene on the charcoal and burn. Anyway, then I went in Prabhupada's room and I offered the frankincense in his room and under the mosquito net and everything, chased off the mosquitoes. And so we would have a regular program. We would do this at Sunday time in the evening, about 6 o'clock. And I would take the Radha Madhava and the deities, and then I'd go up to Prabhupada's room, and then we go all around all the Lotus building, which is the only building, to the top.
Okay, now you can speak.
Hare Krishna. So we go into Prabhupada's room and start fanning I had a towel fan, a leaf fan to give more smoke quickly. And smoke, and I would start under Prabhupada's desk because mosquitoes would get underneath things. So I was kneeling by his side and I was fanning the smoke and everything. And then it would start billowing up and it would become very thick. And so I said, Prabhupada, shall I open the windows? He said, no, you can open the doors. No, it's okay. So generally the system in Bengal is that you fill the room up with smoke, then you turn the lights off and you open the doors and turn the fan on. Immediately all the smoke and mosquitoes, they all go out and fly out quickly. But Prabhupada, he didn't do that. He said, no, he said, keep the windows closed, keep the doors closed, keep everything closed. Sometimes it was new for devotees, they hadn't experienced that before, this frankincense, and they were kind of coughing and everything. More psychological, I think. But Prabhupada used to like it like that, really thick. He kept it closed all the time, and even cooked Vrindavan Harini, Africa. She went up to see Prabhupada. Well, I go in about 6 o'clock Sunday. She come back and she told me, I went in Prabhupada's room, but I couldn't see anything. It was a couple of hours later on. So she said, then slowly I got accustomed, and then I could see Prabhupada's feet were coming, beautiful vision of Prabhupada's feet through the smoke. Anyway, there was three Shastrijis, and they were studying in the Rig Veda, and they became attracted to the Ganga. So, and he said, he asked Prabhupada, can I teach your pujaris some non-fruitive mantras? Prabhupada said, you can do that. So he taught us the Purusha Shukta mantra, the very famous mantra. Purusha Shukta. And he said, you can chant this when you go around with the frankincense. So So, so the little group of us, I had the frankincense. Someone had a parchment cup, water, flicking water. Someone had a bell. And this Shastriji, Gangaram, he had a conch shell, and he knew how to blow the conch shell without stopping. He would blow the conch shell, and he would fill his cheeks up with air, wind. And when when the air from his stomach was finished, he would breathe out the air in his mouth, and simultaneously breathe in new air through his nose. But and he could just blowing the conch shell and never stopped. So we went into Prabhupada's room. He was giving darshan. There was a little group of us. And we went in Prabhupada's room and knocked on the door. Frankincense, really, Prabhupada? Prabhupada would just look and kind of nod his head. Say, yeah. So we come in. And then there were all these mantras. Everyone was taking the darshan. But suddenly, all of a sudden, boom, smoke comes in, the bells with conch shells. And then Gangaram, he was blowing his conch shell, would never stop. And Prabhupada was just sitting there, he's waiting for him to stop. Waiting and waiting and waiting. Then he understood, he's not going to stop. And Prabhupada, he looked up and he said, buzz, 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 buzz. And started laughing. Became known as the boot Buddha, and everybody, and he saw that smoke and what's the boot Buddha? But so we were thinking it was just for the Buddhas that would get rid of mosquitoes. The last time Prabhupada was in Mayapur in 1977, I went to his room with the frankincense. Frankincense really, Prabhupada, not his head. He was just chanting japa very softly. He was looking down and and then I knelt by his side and I started to make smoke under him. First I started under the desk. He was sitting there. Smoke was coming up. Then he opened his eyes and he looked up at me and he said, this gives such an atmosphere of spiritual understanding. So nice. So nice. Hare Krishna. Hare Om. So then we understood it wasn't really anything to do with the mosquitoes or the Buddhists. The Prabhupada liked the atmosphere of spiritual understanding he used. That was nothing to do with mosquitoes. The Prabhupada,
That time round. Time? We used to have a guard watch Prabhupada on top of the staircase where his veranda was. We'd be sitting there in a chair to just make sure. I was sitting there, I was hearing Prabhupada chanting. I couldn't hear his chanting, I could hear the beads clicking somewhere or other. And I was looking down towards his room, and Prabhupada came out the other door. He has two veranda goes all around the building. So he came out the other veranda, walked around, and he walked up to where I was sitting. And I was looking the other way, I was looking towards his room. And suddenly he was there. So I looked around and I saw Prabhupada was standing right next to me. And I was a little shocked. I was new doctor, and Prabhupada standing right next to me. And I didn't know what to do. And I was sitting with my leg, one leg over the other. And across with the foot on the knee. He looked down at me and he said, you shouldn't sit in front of your spiritual like that. So I said, I don't know, I don't know anything, said the Prabhupada. So then I hopped down and paid my obeisances. And I had an infection on the ankle. Oh no. He saw this bandage around my ankle. So he said, oh, yeah, you have a problem? I said, yeah. Oh, then that's okay. That's okay. That's okay. Another time I was in charge of cleaning that building. We had some local boy. I was also the ashram teacher, about 6 boys at that time, living in the Lotus building, had 2 rooms on the 3rd floor. So I told one of the boys, you go and put the water on the floor on the 3rd floor. I'll bring the squeegees and we'll squeegee. So when I got up, he put the water on the 2nd floor. That's Prabhupada's floor. This second floor in Bengal is the 3rd floor in English. They have a ground floor. They don't have a ground floor. They have a 1st floor. So then Prabhupada was taking rest at that time. So, oh my God, what have you done? So then I quickly started going with the squeegee, tiptoeing around, going around all around, up and down. I was just coming out to Prabhupada's door, then he stepped out. And he looked at me and he said, oh? He said, why are you doing that? It was like talking to himself. He said, oh, they cannot find anyone else to do this? And I said, I'm not Jananivas. Because Jananivas was the head pujari. I said, I'm not Jananivas. Well, they can't find anyone else to do this. So I think Prabhupada had us confused. Jananivas chastised me for saying that he subject to mistake, but I always thought that he thought I was Jananivas because that was actually my service. Oh, it's Prabhupada ki jai.
Sri Prabhupada's room one time. He said, did you hear the news? Did you hear the news? I said, no, Sri Prabhupada. He said, they stopped the case. We had a case going in Germany. ISKCON, government versus ISKCON. He said, they stopped it. Why did they do that? Wonder why they stopped it. They had such a good case. And he was like talking to himself and he was walking back. Why did they do that? I said, must have been a super soul, Prabhupada. That's a dumb question. That's a dumb answer, I guess. So later on, I heard another officer with that same thing. He actually said that the super soul must have dictated to them. And he said they had such a good case actually against us.
Thank you very much, Pankajangari Prabhu, Jananivas Prabhu, for coming and encouraging us. You can remove the mic if you want.
Hey.
Yes. Thank you very much, Jananivas Prabhu, Pankajangari Prabhu, for your time and your mercy that you have given us all. And for appreciation, I would like to unmute everyone and we can kindly chant for Jananivas Prabhu and Pankajangari Prabhu. And I request also turn on your videos so Prabhus can see you. I request. Hare Krishna.
Hello. Hello, Rukma. Shri Mohini Devi.
Unmute yourself, Rukma Prabhu.
Pranahari.
Hare Krishna.
Pranahari. Talk of
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Lavanga, yes. Hariyo.
Hari Hari Bol.
Nita Bakrani, Hare Krishna. Nina, Haribol. Priya, Haribol. Hare Krishna. Nairobi Bhaktivinoda ki.
Jai.
Jai.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram,
Hare Ram,
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Ram,
Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Jai His Grace Jananivas Prabhu ki, Jai
Jai.
Pankajangari Prabhu ki,
Jai.
God ki.
Jai.
Jai.
Namaste Prabhu ki. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Pankaj.
Ina tamne kidune.